first question is, how does literature or any kind of text reflect, show, or demonstrate the survival of humanity, and why is this important? I started off with literature shows how humans successfully survive or don't survive in humanity. Like in the article we read, To Build a Fire, the man with the dog, it describes how the dog knew what it was doing, but the man was very, what was he? He was ignorant. So then he didn't survive, but the dog did because it used its instincts.
Yeah, another example of this would be I think it was a video. Yeah, we watched about the earthquake in Nepal. This boy got trapped up under a bunch of debris, and he was under there for 180 hours, and he had to have a good mindset and eat butter.
The Thai cave boys is another example, because it showed how they had to survive in the cave when they were trapped in there for days.
I agree with all of the evidence that's shown, because sometimes you have to survive in different ways that you aren't used to it, and you have to adapt to the things that are going on around you.
Another example is the most dangerous game, where the main hunter, he thought animals would have no feelings or fear, and when it determines that when he got hunted, he felt those, and now he understands that animals he hunted felt fear and pain.
Hudson?
Hudson, you?
Um,
I've heard from you.
Well, I would have to agree
With
with
you.
you, Carmine.
Why do you agree with him?
Explain upon that.
Because animals do have feelings, and it's not okay to hunt people either.
How do you think, for anyone, how do you think literature, expresses that? How does it demonstrate the most dangerous game, Carmen? Because you talked about the most dangerous game. How does it describe how the man feels like it's bad when you're being hunted?
When he first got on, his partner tries to explain, don't you ever just think about how animals, they might feel fear and pain? And he neglected that idea until he came along upon a house after getting shipwrecked and found out that that guy who owns that cabin started hunting him because he got bored of hunting animals, so he started hunting humans. And he gave him 3 days, and he had to hide during those 3 days, like the animals would if he would have hunted them.
Good point.
Well, this is overall for the question, I guess. All of the texts, not a certain one, they just all show what you have to do in certain situations to survive, and how every situation is different.
Yeah, building off Jason's question, in the text, the new survivors, when the Zimmerman had cancer and he fights it multiple times, he ends up talking to people about how he overcame each time he was diagnosed with cancer and what he did to overcome it and achieve his goals.
To go along with Act and what she said about the cave boys or whatever, the coach had to keep them in a mentally good state and keep them in high spirits, because if they started getting down and thinking that there's no hope, they would have just started suffering. And he made sure that they were hydrated, and after they got out, they were joking around with the divers and showing that they were dead.
Mm-hmm. Besides evidence from the text that we learned about, in the real world, we know that humans have to survive by hunting and animals and farming, and I just think it's interesting that literature describes it just almost perfectly with how humans in real life have to survive.
Hudson, what do you think about this? You haven't said much.
I would have to agree with you, Ethan.
Do you have any specific evidence from the real world or personal experience?
Or text evidence?
Yeah, or even from the text.
No.
Just agree with the question?
Okay.
Next question, anyone?
Sure. How does literature or any kind of text evaluate and celebrate the survival of humanity, and why is this important? I guess I'll start us off. So, the text evaluates and celebrates the survival of humanity because it shows how people use their survival skills to get through a problem, and it shows that there is hope and not to give up.
I agree with you. Like in the cave boys one where they get stuck in the cave, like they were all like in high hopes and spirits, and then like when they got out, like everyone was like celebrating it, even though like they thought they lost like their family members. They found out that they were alive and okay, and that's something to celebrate about.
And the one boy that was stuck under the building, he used his resources. All he had was butter to live off of for days.
To add on from the celebration part of it, as Paige said, like in the dangerous game when that man, as we interpreted, finally won the battle, as we think, and said that he had the best sleep he had ever had, I felt that that really described how like excited that he was that guy stopped killing people.
Also, in the most dangerous game, whenever he felt fear, he repeated a single word to himself to keep him calm. I don't remember what the word was, but kept him calm. It led him eventually to winning.
Hudson?
Yeah, that's an
Um,
idea.
That story about the kid in the hurricane, you just don't leave your friend in the middle of a hurricane.
The seventh man, you mean?
Oh, yeah.
Or he left his friend out in the.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
He could have told him to run, but then he just left him.
Yeah.
there.
So, yeah, so I guess that brings up survivor's guilt and, like, how they all deal with it and, like, why they feel how they do.
Oh yeah, to go along with Adeline with survivor's guilt, like an example would be like the two girls that got in a car crash and the one that was driving died and the other one didn't, and she like questioned why she like didn't die with her friend and she felt like it was her fault.
Anybody have anything against this claim?
No, I agree with it.
Any like real world evidence? Because I said like in World War II, I'm guessing many countries were very glad that the war ended, but some countries might not have been. I don't know. It's kind of off topic, but
Because how did
well,
literature
yeah.
or any text celebrate that?
Well, I mean,
When the war was
yeah,
over.
there was like books about how the people were like the soldiers. They finally got to go home and see their wives and kids. And they could finally go back to normalcy.
Yeah, I think it's just like how people feel when they like do survive a certain situation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next question, anyone?
You got it.
Me? Alright. How does literature or any kind of text shape the survival of humanity and why is this important? I said that literature can definitely describe what it takes to survive in harmful situation. Like in the most dangerous game, the one guy being hunted from the other guy, he had to set up tracks and which killed the dogs that were attacking him and had to trick the hunters so he could stay alive. Like where he went into the water and came up and basically tricked him and reversed the rules and killed him.
I agree with you, Jason. Because in the most dangerous game, he had to have like critical thinking about what steps he was going to take next in order to survive, or else he was going to be the one being hunted, or he was the one being hunted. But if Zara got him, he was going to be killed. So he had to be smart about his actions.
And how to build a fire, even though the guy didn't survive, he was doing all he could and he was using all of his resources and everything he could to survive. Like the dog, how he was going to use the dog for warmth and going underneath trees where it was dry so he could make fire.
Yeah, to go along with Adeline, it really shows how like every little thing you do like to survive could really like make a big difference and like
Hudson? Still haven't said much.
So the rescue missions,
Mhm.
people needed rescuing and it costed a lot of money.
Oh, from the cost of survival.
Yeah. And they thought that the people who were risking their lives should have paid for it, who were dangerous.
So you're saying that there's like a cost to survival in humanity?
A little bit.
And like different situations should be different costs and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I think to go along with like like what it takes to survive in the situations, like when there's like the story about those people that get stranded at sea and just have to stay on like a boat for months and can't really drink or eat food for months. How they have to basically just mentally get through it with each other or even alone sometimes. I think that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Carmine,
Oh yeah. Never
what's
mind.
your opinion?
What do you think about this question?
Here, come on.
I don't really have an opinion, but I agree with all of you because you guys put high persuasive supporting details for your claims, and I kind of find that fascinating because they're just really supportive.
I like all of our reasonings from the text.
Yep.
I think we had great claims on that question.
I agree.
One question left. Paige, you want to get on this one?
Yeah, sure. What did you learn from this unit on survival that you can apply to your own life right now or in the future? Like not only about survival skills, but like literacy in life as well. But I've learned that you should like always be prepared and like that prepared for the worst to happen because you never know like what's going to happen. Like to build a fire, he thought like it wasn't that cold and that he was gonna easily survive and he'd make it through. But then he ended up like freezing and dying. So
Going off what Paige said, I also put down to be prepared for things and like use your resources when you have to, like how to build a fire. He was doing all he could to survive, but he like also don't be doubtful because he didn't think it would be that cold and like he thought it'd be fine, but clearly wasn't.
Yeah, I put that. I learned that it's not like just important to be physically healthy during the whole entire thing, but it's really important to be mentally healthy, and that you have to have a good mindset on the situation and have hope and just keep looking for ways to improve the situation and find hope.
I have one. When the two girls got in a car accident, they weren't expecting to be in a car accident. So you shouldn't always think of that because that's just life and how it goes on. So don't worry about dying. You could just give the day the best you've ever had. Like that.
To add on to the mental part, like you were talking about, Hannah, like in the New Survivors, talked about how that one guy, he was really depressed when he went through those hard times and he had suicidal thoughts, but the main thing that helped these people get through their depressions was just having someone to talk to. Just really helped them.
Adding on to the thoughts and like attitude and stuff like that, the Thai cave boys, when they were trapped in the cave, they were trying to like stay positive and like have good thoughts about the whole situation. Hudson?
Well, I learned that you shouldn't go out when it's negative 70 degrees out by yourself.
Probably a bad idea.
Any other?
Well, I would suggest not going out on 70-degree negative either. But he was a tough man, but he died, so this is
Means the dog told him to stay to the fire.
yeah. I think if he would have like looked at paid attention to the dog more and not just cared about himself, he would have made it through it.
Orban, he was just like really stubborn,
Yeah.
and he like thought he was like so
it's
good,
hard
and
to
it was
focus
nothing. And
on other things when you're numb.
Yeah, I think that like what the book didn't say was that maybe he got like something messed up when he was really cold in his brain, so he
Yeah.
wasn't really thinking straight. He was just doing stuff. He wasn't really on his right mind. Carmen, you have anything?
What life lesson would that tell you?
Not be stupid.
Don't be
think things
ignorant.
and like think things through
Yeah.
before you necessarily go and do them, because
Yeah.
he obviously wasn't very well prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect
Oh,
timing.
Okay, well, just a minute.
Oh.
Fabulous job. Okay, outside. Let's celebrate the inside circles.
Oh, I think we did
performance.
good.
Let's hear it.
What are the great things that they did?
Expressed a lot of
waiting
A
for
lot of
someone.
evidence.
Tons of evidence, yeah.
Tons of
Compared to
evidence.
last time. And I think you did relatively well last time on evidence too, but boy, you really picked it up on the evidence. That's fabulous. Good job. What else?
We are pretty good, guys.
They
Good
were
job.
like agreeing with each other a lot,
Just a
and
minute,
then,
we
like
can't.
adding conversation
Yeah.
and like adding people,
Like
to
they
talk,
built.
like inviting people.
They built off each other.
Yeah, yeah, we did have a lot of connections made, which builds our collective understanding. That's the goal of what we're talking about here, so that we can really come away from this unit going, wow, look at all that we learned. We learned this, and this. Okay, good.
They
Ashley?
stay on topic pretty much all the time. They don't break out hours.
Yeah, very good. Anything else that stands out to you?
Jason was a great
Leader.
host.
Leader.
Yeah, leader.
Host.
He leaded
Start
the
host.
conversation.
Chief Larry Reed.
Okay,
It was
and
a fire.
I would say
Like
one of
Barbara.
his strengths I would agree that he kind of was the leader. Not that we need a leader in a conversation because we want everyone to have an equal voice. But all conversations have specific natural things that happen, and having someone that kind of regulates the conversation is often one that is naturally happening. So one of the strengths, I think, for Jathan and that regulator kind of leader position was that he made new connections. Yeah, and that's what really that intellectual flexibility and curiosity that we want to hone and improve and strengthen. Those new connections are where we get that. So great job. Okay, very quickly and quietly switch places.
Before they go.